My name's Tom Harris, 26 years old, and a few years ago, I was a lab technician at a small manufacturing plant in Birmingham, England. It was my first real job, working in a lab that mixed chemical solutions for industrial products. The work was technical, the pay decent, and I loved the challenge of getting the formulas just right. But my boss Colin was a nightmare, a bullying, sexist lunatic who made my life hell. He singled me out, screamed at me, and tried to pin his mistakes on me to get me fired. For months, I took it, thinking I needed the job. But when he pushed me too far, I pushed back, and not only did I get him sacked, I took his job. This is how I turned his own game against him. It all started in 2019. I'd landed the lab tech role after a string of interviews, excited to work alongside Hannah, a colleague my age who was sharp and easy to get along with. The lab was small, just us two techs and Colin, the lab manager, overseeing everything. The plant itself was a noisy maze of machines and bottle-filling stations. But the lab was our quiet corner, test tubes, beakers, and the hum of equipment. My job was to mix solutions, test batches, and keep detailed logs. Colin, though, had other plans for me. From day one, he targeted me. If I was focused on a formula, he'd yell that I wasn't paying attention and humiliate me in front of the bottle fillers. He'd dump dirty jobs on me, cleaning out clogged pipes or scrubbing vats, while Hannah got lighter tasks. He was blatantly sexist, too, insisting women wear white safety shoes for aesthetics, and muttering that women weren't suited for lab work. I gritted my teeth and kept going. The job paid my rent, and Hannah and the factory crew were great. Colin's bullying wasn't just petty, it was explosive. One day, about 3 months in, I was in the noisy machine room, wearing mandatory headphones to block the roar of equipment. I'd borrowed a funnel from the lab to fill barrels, standard practice since we shared tools. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Colin storming toward me, face red, veins bulging. "Why did you take my funnel?" he screamed. I didn't hear him through the headphones, so I pulled them off to ask him to repeat. "I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request." Tears streaming. Hannah later told me his rant was heard across the plant, even over the machines. I filed a formal grievance with HR, detailing his outburst. Colin smoothed it over with upper management, claiming I'd provoked him. They bought it, and he came back worse. Around my birthday, I took a few days off, and when I returned, he smirked, saying I was in his bad books for yelling at him, and that the bosses were watching me. It was a lie, but it stung. I kept my head down, focusing on my logs and formulas, hoping to outlast him. Then came the chloroform incident, my first chance to fight back. One day, Colin brought a bottle of chloroform into the lab, a windowless, unventilated room. My chemistry training kicked in. Chloroform's dangerous. You need a COSH form, a mandatory health and safety document for handling hazardous chemicals. "Colin, have you done a COSH form for this?" I asked. He scoffed. "Never done one in 25 years as a chemist." I warned him not to open it in the lab. It could make people sick. He rolled his eyes and waved me off. I had the next day off, so I didn't think much more of it. When I walked in the following morning, the lab reeked of a sweet, solvent-like smell. Everyone nearby was complaining of headaches. On the desk sat an unmarked bottle of separated solution, classic chloroform waste. Colin had opened it, exposing us all, and left the mess without labeling it, a major safety violation. I acted fast. I printed a COSH form, filled it out, and took it to upper management. They weren't chemists, so they didn't grasp the severity. But they saw my concern and confronted Colin. He spun a story, claiming I was fear-mongering, and they let it slide. He cornered me later, hissing, "Stop causing trouble, Tom." That was it. I started job hunting, determined to escape. After a few interviews, I got an offer from a university research lab. Better pay, better environment, no Colin. I was ecstatic, ready to leave the plant behind. That same morning, as I checked the confirmation email on my phone, the big boss, Mr. Reynolds, came to the lab. "Tom, we've got a problem. Our biggest client says the latest batch has the wrong flavor." I frowned. Flavor changes were tightly controlled, and I kept meticulous batch logs, despite Colin's complaints that they were pointless. I asked for the batch code, checked my logbook, and found a note. The flavor had been changed, signed off by Colin. "Mr. Reynolds, Colin authorized this," I said, showing him the entry. He looked grim. Colin was out of the office, so Reynolds asked me to join him in the boardroom. Upstairs, the air was tense. Reynolds explained the client was pulling their business, a major loss. "Tom, I need the truth. Did you change the flavor?" I took a deep breath. "I got a job offer this morning. I have no reason to lie. Colin told me to change it, and he signed off in my logbook." Reynolds nodded, then called Colin. I couldn't hear their conversation, but when Reynolds handed me the phone, Colin's voice was panicked. "Don't say anything until I get back, Tom. We'll sort this out together." I almost laughed. Sort it out? He'd been sabotaging me for months. I didn't hold back. I told Reynolds everything. Colin's bullying, the chloroform incident, his refusal to do paperwork, the funnel meltdown. I showed him my logbook, the Kosh form, and emails where Colin ignored safety protocols. Another manager confirmed Colin's lack of documentation. Reynolds listened, his face darkening. "We're suspending you both, pending investigation," he said. "Don't talk to Colin." My phone buzzed all day. 23 missed calls, frantic voicemails, texts from Colin begging to meet. I ignored them. That evening, he showed up 5 minutes before closing, cornering me. "You're not going home until we sort this, Tom. Tell me what you told them." His voice was desperate, his face pale. I looked him in the eye, stone cold. "I'm going home, Colin. Goodbye." The look on his face, pure panic, was something I'll never forget. The next morning, I was on paid suspension, expecting a day of video games. At 11 a.m., Reynolds called me back to the boardroom. He and another manager laid it out. Colin had tried to pin the flavor change on me, but my logbook and testimony proved otherwise. Then Colin made a fatal mistake. He admitted to sourcing a dodgy flavor supply and threatened to leak it to the press unless they kept him. Reynolds wasn't having it. Colin was fired on the spot, escorted off the premises by police for attempting blackmail. I sat there stunned as Reynolds turned to me. "Tom, you've shown more responsibility than Colin ever did. We want you as lab manager with a 10,000-pound raise." I blinked. "Manager? Me?" I accepted, my head spinning. The next week, I started as lab manager. The lab felt different, lighter, without Colin's shadow. Hannah and I revamped safety protocols, and I made sure every chemical had a COSSH form. The team respected me, and we rebuilt trust with the client, though it took time. Colin's career was over. I heard he spent 6 months unemployed before landing a low-level secretary job at an auction house. He tried to stir trouble, bad-mouthing me to old colleagues, but no one listened. The plant staff threw a quiet celebration, toasting to better days. I didn't gloat, but I won't lie. I felt a deep satisfaction. Colin thought he could bully me, break me, and get me fired. Instead, I used his own mistakes against him, kept my cool, and took his job. As I sit in my office now, checking batch logs and planning the lab's next project, I think of that moment I walked away from him, his pleas echoing. Thanks, Colin. You taught me how to fight back.